So, was ist los? Was ist das? This is a Pfaf 229. For those of you that prefer, a Pfaf 229. Obviously born in Germany, specifically Kaiserslautern, Germany, in 1956. As you may or may not know, the first Pfaf or Pfaf sewing machine came out of this neck of the woods, Kaiserslautern, Germany, right around 1862. And this particular one, serial number 5874287, is everything about heavy duty. You can't see it on the back of the machine in this shot right now, but you'll certainly see it in the photographs. Has an original Pfaf or Pfaf sewing machine motor, not 0.6 amps, not 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1.0, not even that. It's got a 1.3 amp motor. So you're looking at a machine that has about 2 times, actually more than 2 times, the power of a Singer 1591 or Singer 201-2. It's got enough power that it can sew pretty much anything. And the way I'm going to open this introductory video on this Pfaf 229 is to show you how easy it is to wind a bobbin. But first of all, I've got to show off a little bit of that power. So you're going to see me step over to the machine. I'm going to disengage that clutch and fire this up and let you listen to that balance wheel spin with power. And then we're going to go ahead and wind a quick bobbin just so you can see it's fairly easy. I'm going to go ahead and open the shot just a little bit so you can see us loop it over that tension control disc on the far left there. Let me bring it down just a little bit. Okay, I think that's a pretty good shot. I think you'll get the idea. You're extremely smart. So again, first thing I want to do is just let you listen to this motor. It's all about heavy duty. So let's go ahead and disengage a clutch. Simple little turn. And here we go. Any questions? I don't even need to do any sew-offs, for goodness sakes. You know, an original Pfaf or Pfaf motor, 1.3 amps, it's like, any other questions? It's just crazy what this machine can do. Okay, so if we're going to wind a bobbin, and I'll go ahead and tighten the shot after this, we can add this second spool of thread to the top. Obviously, when you see 2 spool pins, and the other thing I should point out, and I didn't, is these spool pins are collapsible. I can take these little discs off so you can see more readily, but they fold over. That way, if you're moving the machine around, you're not going to potentially snap one of these off. So you just put the thread right on top. This is the little tension center right here that I was talking about, that's specifically designed for winding a bobbin. You slide it just between the little space in there and then draw it across. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and change my shot just so you can get a closer view of what this machine does from a standpoint of cutting off at the perfect moment in relation to winding a bobbin. So let's go ahead and really kind of zoom in. I think that's going to be pretty close right there. I still want you to be able to see that really cool badge mark. And you can't see it right now, but I should zoom in. That's obviously going to tell you made in Germany, so the Pfaf 229. So I'm going to come out a little bit here. Actually, I like that even better. That's even better. The other thing you'll notice is the thickness of this drive belt that I have on here. You may not be able to see it real clear if I kind of zoom in. It's going to be about 2.5 to 3 times the thickness, and it fits on that pulley beautifully. The purpose in that, no slippage. When you give that foot control a push, you're going to get absolute power. You're going to get a huge burst of power, and it's going to get the job done regardless of what you have underneath that presser foot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and slide this bobbin on. You'll notice that the bobbin has little slats specifically designed to fit onto this bobbin winder. So you just have to make sure you get it in there appropriately. And then we're just going to wind the thread around that bobbin. I don't need to preach to the choir. This is pretty basic stuff, but then again, I shouldn't assume anything, because any machine has its uniqueness, and this will certainly give you an appreciation for just how efficient this machine is in relation to winding a bobbin. You're just going to go ahead and push this in now, and we should be able to make sure that clutch is disengaged as well. So simple steps. We put the thread on, we ran it around that tension center to the far left of the machine on top. We came back to the spool, the bobbin rather, and we went around a couple of times. You can hold on to this if you want. I don't think it'll be necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully step on that foot control. If we have to give that thread a clip, we will. And we'll go ahead and wind this bobbin. It looks like it's probably wise that we do. Machines have their own uniquenesses when it comes to, sometimes you don't have to, sometimes you do. So, all right, so there we go. So we got it nice and snug on there. I'm going to go ahead and give that foot control a press now. And the thing I want you to watch for is that this will disengage automatically. You don't have to worry about overfilling it, underfilling it with this Pfaf 229. It's going to take care of it for you, so you can focus on other things. Notice as well how quiet this machine runs. I could throttle it right now if I wanted to. Like that. We're not in a big rush. We're getting real close. And there you go. So now you've got a bobbin nice and full. The process is complete. You would obviously go ahead and re-engage your clutch so you're ready to resume sewing, which I'll do right now so I don't forget. And that pretty much wraps it up on the bobbin winding. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to wind this shot a little bit and kind of walk you briefly through the machine. As a matter of fact, I could certainly do that just as easily from here. This control right here is obviously going to be for raising and lowering the feed dogs. You're going to simply rotate it like such if you want to drop them, and then when you want to re-engage those feed dogs after you've done freehand embroidery and such, you rotate it back and you're ready to resume again. Those feed dogs are going to be fully engaged. As we move up the machine, you can see this little button right here. That's going to be obviously for turning the light on and off. And the lighting system on this Pfaf 229 is outstanding. It's really comprehensive. It doesn't just light the bed area itself. It's also going to light that needle as well. You can see the difference when I turn it on and off if my shot was a little bit wider. The control that I've kind of moved up to right here is going to do a couple of things. This control right here is going to allow you to sew in reverse. It's quite simple. You rotate it to the left and it will sew in reverse, and when you want to resume sewing forward again, just bring it back to the right again and you're sewing forward. This is also going to control your stitch length, and right now I've got it set on 5, which is the highest setting for this machine. That's going to give you a stitch length of probably around 5 stitches per inch. If I move it all the way to the right down to 1, we're going to be really close to 30 stitches per inch. So it gives you a huge variation. As I've said in other videos, it actually gives you a larger variation than any of the Singer models, and they're going to be right around 6 to 30, 6 to 25. So incredible stitch length variation possibilities with this Pfaf 229. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move over towards the middle, which tends to be the region of intimidation. And I'll explain that a little bit further. This is our clutch there, the silver wheel there you see mounted on the balance wheel that we engaged and disengaged before. So let me kind of come in on this a little bit And I say intimidation just because it's like getting a newer car. There's so many bells and whistles on it, and it sometimes can be a little bit intimidating when it comes to what does this button do, what does this knob do, and you're like, ah! So let's walk through this, and I think you'll see readily, you know what, it's no big deal. So starting right here, this little, for lack of a better word, this little button or this little lever that you can push down, when you push it down like this, you can see it going down. It's going to allow you readily to change that needle position. The needle position settings are seen in a brief little illustration up here. You can either go left needle, center needle, or right needle, and you simply push it down, and then you're going to go ahead and slide this basically in order to move that needle position. And I'm going to put it right back right around center. The other thing that this is going to allow you to do, and if I zoomed in real close, which I probably should, now that I've shown that little lever. Yeah, that's a little bit too far. Okay, that should work. The other thing that this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to also change stitch width. It's going to allow you to take this from a straight stitch machine to a zigzag machine, and it also has a blind hem stitch as well. And this is this knob right here allows you to make adjustments to that blind hem as far as limitations, but we're not going to really focus on that in this video per se. So if you're wanting to go from straight, right now it's all the way to the right for straight stitching. If you're wanting to go zigzag, you're going to take the knob like this and you're going to rotate it to the left. So now we've gone from a straight stitch on 0 all the way to a zigzag on setting number 4. And you can certainly turn it back just as easily to that position as well. That really is the extent of this region that at a glance initially when you see it can be a little bit intimidating. Again, stitch width, and then if you use the little silver lever that you can depress, it's going to allow you to change that needle position left, right, center. And again, this blind hem stitching, if you want to use that, you can certainly look in a manual and find out how best to use that particular control. Over here, and it's interesting, in all of my videos on the Pfaf machines, on the Pfaf machines, I've demonstrated this, and yet I still got a question from a gentleman that was in a bind. His wife's bulb had burned out on her Pfaf 332, I believe it was, and he was like, help, Scott, help, I need to figure out how to change this bulb. It's up in the housing, I can't get to it, and I can't change it, and my wife is getting upset because I'm a mechanic, I'm supposed to understand all this stuff. I said, not a problem. Pfaf is very smart, and so this controller right here, with a simple turn, it's going to allow you, I'm rotating it to the left if you can't see that with my big hand in the way, it's going to allow you to rotate it, and then what you can see through the camera, hopefully, well, sort of, not really, you can see that bulb kind of popped out down there to the left. And so what you can do then is, obviously not when it's hot, but you can then change that bulb, and then as soon as you're done changing it and you're wanting to resume sewing, you just rotate it back to the right again, and it pops back up into that housing again. It couldn't be any easier. And I love the fact, again, as I've said a million times, the German engineering is hard to beat. I love the Husqvarnas, I love Singers as well, but doggone it, those Germans are just so smart when it comes to that. So let me come up here. I'm going to show you real quick how this machine threads. We can see our spool pin right there. We're coming across. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer because this is a little bit tricky right here. You can see how that thread comes through that top guide. One would think, okay, it's going to come from right to left and then come down through that second thread guide. It actually comes from left to right and then comes back down. There's a second hole below this one, and then it comes down through the tension control from there. So it's important you thread it right. Otherwise what's going to happen is it's not going to create that reverse tension There's actually a reverse tension that occurs in threading it this way from left to right and then from right to left on that lower hole, so that that thread feeds properly from that spool on top. Otherwise you get a spin out, you get other problems with that thread not feeding evenly. So then we come down from there. You can see we come through those tension discs, we come around, and then it's obviously going to come through that spring. We're going to then follow it up from there, up to the arm. And I've tried it both on the upper hole and the lower hole. Obviously you can do dual needle sewing, is why ideally this take-up arm has 2 holes. But you know, ultimately for sewing purposes, I would recommend putting it in that lower hole. You're then going to follow it down the housing. There's a thread guide right there, and below that there's 2 additional thread guides. There's one right there, and then there's also one below that. You can see it just above where that needle is on the front. And then you're going to thread it from front to back, because the bobbin carrier is on the front of the raceway. So that gives you a thumbnail sketch really of this Pfaf or Pfaf 229. It really is, in my opinion, kind of like that Husqvarna Viking 4010. It really is kind of a lost machine. You seldom, if ever, see these machines on eBay. You seldom, if ever, see them sold anywhere. So it does have a certain degree of rarity to it. And I'll tell you again, with that 1.3 amp motor on the back, it has unprecedented power. So what can I say other than it's spectacular? And you'll want to notice the pictures as well, because I show some of that internal engineering of this machine as well, that just makes a Pfaf or a Pfaf a Pfaf. It's a fantastic machine. It's built like, I mean, as I say, tougher than nails. And make sure you check out the other videos as well that are going to demonstrate the power and the strength of this machine in sewing a wide variety of heavy grade materials. So check those out as well.